what is conscious monogamy? Maybe it's easier actually to start with identifying what is unconscious monogamy, because that's the norm. So the norm is a commodity that you kind of try to fit yourself into the mold. But the thing is, relationships are not commodified. They can't be. You can attempt to force yourself into the mold, but that's going to make things wobbly, and it's going to make your relationship less resilient over time. It ultimately leads to struggle and destruction. Like I said, you can cross the finish line, like hating each other and resenting each other or getting in fights all the time, but you don't have to. That's a different paradigm. So what is conscious monogamy? It's all about relating authentically, instead of defaulting to the societal programming. So we look at what is true for you, what is true for your partner, and what is true for you as a couple, because very rarely does it look the same for people. So if your goal is lifelong relationship, relating consciously and engaging in conscious monogamy will 100% increase your odds. It's going to be better for you. So what I want to share with you is this common pattern of identity enmeshment. That is a big part of unconscious monogamy. That's the norm. And it creates a lot of problems, but it's so normalized that you have to first see it and understand how it creates the disconnection for you to take a step out of that and do something different. Step into a paradigm that creates a long-term satisfying connection. So let's look at that. First, I just want to say, like the general norm with unconscious monogamy, it's a paradigm of codependency and enmeshment. And so enmeshing your identity is just one flavor of that. That's what we're going to focus on. What this does when you enmesh your identity is it creates confusion. You start to be confused about who you are as a person outside of the relationship. So imagine, you're in this long-term relationship and things are going well. They don't have to be like hard or you're struggling. But if you are enmeshing your relationship where you kind of lose yourself to the relationship, let's say you go on a trip or something for a week and you're on your own, you might literally feel confused, or you might feel disoriented, or you might feel this longing. And like it's natural and healthy to miss your partner, but when you feel like something is missing from you, that's part of that identity enmeshment and that confusion where it feels like a piece of you is missing. So what happens when you enmesh your identity is you actually become the relationship. You lose yourself. It gets swallowed up, into the relationship. In contrast, in conscious monogamy, you relate as two sovereign people. You maintain your agency. You're two whole people. And then, in addition to you two people as individuals, there's a third entity, which we can call the spirit of the relationship. So what happens in unconscious monogamy is there's not those three elements, the two individuals and the spirit of the relationship, which is something that transcends both of you. It's what both of you create together, both culturally and energetically. And what happens is you just kind of blob into one entity, like you become the third entity, which is confusing, because that's not you. That is a byproduct of your love, but that's not you. You see what I'm saying? So what happens when you enmesh your identity? Well, one thing is you start to unconsciously exert more control in your relationship. And we can look at control as one of those mainstream paradigms. And if you really zoom out, you can understand that's part of a war paradigm. It's domination and control. So this is never the conscious intention because it would be crazy to say, yeah, I want to relate to you through a lens of a war paradigm. It just leads to disconnection. But this is why it's an unconscious norm. You controlling your partner is always going to lead to disconnection. So let me give you some examples. When you start to see yourself as your partner, or you start to identify with who your partner is, you start to put more shoulds in their space. Oh, maybe you should buy this car. Maybe you should wear these clothes, or maybe you should go to school to be a doctor and be in this profession, or, whatever profession, because it's less about the person themselves and it becomes more of how you see yourself. Are you the kind of person who's married to, let's say, a chiropractor or a masseuse or what have you, right? Or let's say if you're really triggered by Western medicine, then maybe that's like a real issue for you. You're like, oh, why don't you study Oriental medicine, because it's reflecting on how you view yourself. But what's happening is, there's kind of like not any space for that person to be themselves, to be authentic. And that can lead to a feeling of rejection where it doesn't feel safe to express themselves because it's like, well, will I still be lovable? Will I still be welcome in this relationship? So it leads to a lot of shoulds in the other person's space. And really that's your energy in their space. Or maybe your partner does this to you and you can relate to this. But really, like, your energy belongs to you. Their energy belongs to them. And then there's the third entity, the spirit of the relationship, But when your energy is in their space, kind of like telling them what they should do, what they should wear, how they should live their life, it starts to get really sticky and it can feel disconnecting because the other person essentially like disappears. The other side effect of this identity enmeshment is it creates stagnancy in the relationship. To learn more about this topic and how to move forward, you can click right here to watch the full episode.